Of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Joe Biden. He joins us this morning from Iowa. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, George.
So Mike Hayden, the director of the CIA, says that the destruction of those interrogation tapes was fully lawful, and the interrogations they depicted were also fully lawful. Why is he wrong?
Well, I'm not sure he's wrong. It appears he's wrong. He was told by Harriet Miers, they were told by the Justice Department not to destroy the tapes 2 years ago. They were told that they denied access to those tapes to the 9/11 Commission. I understand the argument is they weren't specifically on point, but the point of the matter is I think that Hayden is not to be the judge of whether or not his ordering or his condoning the destroying of the tapes was lawful. It appears as though there may be an obstruction of justice charge here and tampering with evidence and destroying evidence. And this, I think this is one case where it really does call for a special counsel. I think this leads right into the White House. There may be a legal and rational explanation, but I don't see any on the face of it.
So let me stop you right there. You say special counsel. You don't believe that the investigations asked for by the Inspector General of the CIA and the Attorney General are sufficient?
No, I don't. Let me put it this way, rhetorical question. Anything this Attorney General's offices have done since this guy's become president that you're going to take on face value? Not me. Not me.
Well, this is a new Attorney General with a track record. He's gotten the support of many Democrats in his confirmation process. Do you have reason not to trust Michael Mukasey?
Well, he's brand new. I voted against Mukasey. He's the same guy who couldn't decide whether or not waterboarding was torture. And he's going to be doing this investigation. Look, I just think it's clearer and crisper, and everyone will know what the truth is if you just if he appoints a special counsel, steps back from it. He was already got himself in some difficulty. He ended up passing because of the whole issue of waterboarding. One of the issues here is, did the CIA use a waterboarding technique? Apparently did. Why did they destroy the tapes? You know, I just think this is getting very convoluted, and I think the easiest, straightest thing to do is take it out of the political realm, appoint a special prosecutor, and let them decide and call it where it is. Is there a criminal violation? If there is, proceed. If not, don't.
This comes as the Senate was voting to outlaw the extreme interrogation techniques that the CIA has been using, outlaw the separate CIA program. Do you have the votes to override a presidential veto?
We may now. We may now. I don't know enough to answer that question, George. I've not done a head count. I introduced legislation a while ago, meaning a couple months ago, saying that this was, you could not use this technique, indicating that you also couldn't engage in illegal rendering, that is, snatching people off the street, sending them to a black prison, sending them to a place where you know torture is going to take place. Look, our credibility internationally has been absolutely devastated. Absolutely devastated. Here's a president of the United States rattling the sword about a third world war. Here's a guy who is engaged in activities, or at least condoning apparently activities which are anathema to our whole image around the world, that undercuts our ability to get friends to cooperate. Even Gates in his speech yesterday talking about a different thing, talking about the new CIA estimate relative to Iran and its weapons program, said, and I think it has confused our friends. Excuse me. It has annoyed our friends and caused confusion for our allies. I mean, this administration is out of control.
Let me turn to that issue, because our next guest, Newt Gingrich, has been quite critical of that new national intelligence estimate on Iran's nuclear program. Have a listen.
I believe that that was a deliberate sabotage of the Bush administration by several former State Department employees who are deeply opposed to the president's activities, and I think it's quite misleading. Iran remains a very dangerous place. They clearly are continuing to develop nuclear capability.
Misleading report that was sabotaged by State Department officials. What do you think?
Look, George, I like Newt, and I really do, but who are you going to believe? Newt Gingrich's assessment are 16 intelligence agencies in the United States of America reaching a unanimous decision, as they say in boxing. This is not a close call. This is not a split. This is a unanimous decision that said several things. One, that their nuclear program to develop a nuclear weapon was abandoned in 2003, or at least stopped in 2003. It does not exist now. Number two, it said by using carrots and sticks. There's a way to negotiate with this administration, with Ahmadinejad and Iran to deal with what is a remaining problem, their attempt to be able to develop through what they call gas centrifuge systems, highly enriched uranium. And Newt Gingrich comes along and says that this is a bunch of a couple State Department guys that sabotaged this and got 16 intelligence agencies in the United States of America to say what I just said. I mean, come on.
Let me just correct you on
this is a Nixon administration without the competence.
Let me just correct you on one point there. I think that the intelligence estimate did say that the program was suspended in 2003. They're not positive that it hasn't been started again. They're not sure of that. But also on the broader point, if Iran is continuing to enrich uranium, if they continue to have a reactor to develop materials that could only really be used for a nuclear weapons program, isn't that the same thing? And don't we have to take it seriously?
Sure, we have to take it seriously, and guys like me say you have to take it seriously. I made a major speech last week saying how we should take it seriously, how we can control it, and how we can deal with it. And short of this rhetoric, this bellicose rhetoric about World War III, short of declaring their military a group of terrorists, look, let's put this in perspective. They are a problem. They're a real problem. But are they a World War III problem? Is there a likelihood of a nuclear cataclysmic exchange? Are they on the verge of getting nuclear weapons? This has a strange echo of Iraq. A strange echo. Same kind of malarkey being spoken about now. Yes, they are a problem. There's a way to deal with them. One, make sure your allies stay with you and you have credibility to continue to put pressure on them, offering them both carrots and sticks. Let them know what the isolation means. Let them know what would happen, in fact, if they cooperate. Deal with them in a regional way. Work on Afghanistan and on Iraq in order to be able to deal with the pressures within Iran. Move in a way that you were able to gain the credibility of the world. Now what's happened? The rest of the world looks at us and they're a little bit embarrassed. Privately, the Europeans are embarrassed. And here they are.
Excuse me. I was talking to an Israeli official this week who sort of granted your point on how this could hurt the diplomatic coalition, and he said it would likely make military action more likely during the next president's term. If you were president, and Israel wanted to take preemptive action against the Iranian nuclear program, would you stop them?
Look, I am not going to speculate on what I would do with regard to any requests from Israel, but let's put something in perspective here. Their program, to the extent that you would knock out every aspect of the program, would take somewhere in the order of 1,000 sorties over 2 weeks. You would be dealing with a fundamentally different thing than the image that many Americans have of the Israelis getting a couple lone fighter pilots who are really, really good, or bomber pilots, to go in and take out a specific target. This is not in that category. There's no such thing as a surgical strike to end Iran's ambitions, assuming they continue to exist. There's no such thing as a surgical strike that can take out their gas centrifuge systems and so on. And one other thing, George, we're talking about them having to take 3,000 gas centrifuges, which they haven't been able to do so far, keep them running for 1 year without interruption to get 26 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, and at the same time, we're botching a policy in Pakistan where they have nuclear weapons that are already able to be fitted to missiles that can already strike Israel in a country that's unstable. I think perspective is what is fundamentally missing in this administration. Is Iran a problem? Yes. But what put it in perspective? What is our national interest? And one of those interests is overwhelmingly getting our allies to stay with us so we can avoid a war and reach the same end their quest for highly enriched uranium. That is within our wheelhouse.